I was sitting in Mr. Harris's office, watching his face turn red as he slid a piece of paper across his desk. Someone had called him that morning, pretending to be me, using every curse word imaginable and saying I was drunk and hated working there. I barely had time to defend myself before he told me to pack my things. Security walked me out with a cardboard box while my coworkers stared. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from my sister Courtney. Just a laughing emoji. That's when I knew. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold my phone. I sat in my car in the parking lot of the building where I had worked for 5 years, staring at that laughing emoji. My whole body felt numb. This couldn't be real. I had given everything to that job. I had worked late nights, weekends, sacrificed time with friends. I had just landed our biggest client 3 months ago, and now I was fired because of a phone call. I called Courtney. She answered on the first ring, and I could hear her giggling before she even said hello. "Oh my God, Rosemarie, you should have heard yourself." "Well, me. You know what I mean." She was laughing so hard she could barely get the words out. "What did you do?" My voice came out as a whisper. "I called your boss. I did my best you impression. Come on, it was hilarious. You're always so stressed about that job anyway. Maybe this is a blessing in disguise." "Courtney, I just got fired," escorted out by security. "Do you understand what you did?" "Oh, relax. It was just a joke. You're way too uptight. Besides, you'll find another job. You're always bragging about how good you are at marketing." I ended the call and drove straight to my parents' house. I needed them to understand what had happened. Surely they would see how wrong this was. Surely they would make Courtney understand the severity of what she had done. My parents lived in the same house I grew up in, a modest ranch-style home in a quiet suburb, about 20 minutes from my apartment. I pulled into the driveway and saw Courtney's car already there. Good. We could all talk about this together. I walked in without knocking. My mother Helen was in the kitchen, and my father Frank was in the living room watching television. Courtney was sprawled on the couch, scrolling through her phone. "Rosemarie, honey, we weren't expecting you," my mother said, looking up from the dishes she was washing. "I need to talk to all of you. It's important." Courtney didn't even look up from her phone. My father muted the television and turned to face me. At least I had their attention. I explained everything. The phone call, the firing, the humiliation of being escorted out. I told them exactly what Courtney had done and how she had admitted it to me on the phone. I waited for their outrage. I waited for them to tell Courtney how unacceptable her behavior was. Instead, my mother dried her hands on a dish towel and looked at me with concern, but not the kind I expected. "Well, honey, are you sure that's what happened? I mean, if your boss fired you that quickly, maybe there were other problems?" I stared at her. "Mom," Courtney admitted it, she told me she did it. "I was just joking around," Courtney said, finally looking up from her phone. "If he fired you over one phone call, you probably weren't that valuable to the company anyway. Good employees don't get fired over misunderstandings." "It wasn't a misunderstanding. You impersonated me. You got me fired on purpose." Courtney sat up straighter, and something shifted in her expression. The playful mocking was gone, replaced with something colder. "Okay, fine. You want the truth? Yes, I called your boss. And yes, I wanted you to get fired. My best friend Amber has been looking for a job for months. She's actually qualified, unlike some people who just got lucky. So I reached out to Mr. Harris and recommended her for your position. He said he would consider her. I just helped move things along." The room went silent. I looked at my parents, waiting for them to react to this confession. My father shifted in his chair. My mother folded the dish towel carefully. "Well," my father said slowly, "Courtney's friend has been struggling, and we've known Amber since she was little. She's basically family." "Family helps family," my mother added. "Maybe this will work out for everyone. Amber gets a job, and you can find something better suited for you." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Better suited for me? I loved that job. I was good at it. And Courtney deliberately sabotaged me. "You're being selfish," Courtney said. "You're making this all about you. Amber has student loans. She has bills. You've been comfortable for years while she's been struggling. I was just trying to help her out. By destroying my career? Oh, stop being so dramatic. You'll find another job. You always land on your feet." I looked at each of them. My mother, my father, my sister. None of them saw anything wrong with what had happened. In their eyes, I was the problem for being upset. I was selfish for not understanding that Courtney's friend needed a job more than I needed to keep mine. I left without another word. There was nothing more to say. 3 weeks passed. 3 weeks of filling out applications, updating my resume, reaching out to contacts in my network. I applied to 30 different companies, marketing manager positions, director roles, even some coordinator jobs that paid less than what I had been making. I needed something, anything. I got 2 callbacks. The first was from a tech company downtown. The recruiter sounded excited on the phone, asked me to send over my portfolio, said they'd love to set up an interview. I sent everything over that same day. I never heard from them again. Not even a rejection email. The second callback came from a media firm. Similar situation. Great initial conversation, they wanted to move forward, asked for references. I provided 3 former colleagues who I knew would give glowing recommendations. 2 days later, I got a generic email saying they had decided to go with other candidates. I couldn't understand it. I had a strong resume, 5 years of solid experience, a portfolio full of successful campaigns. Why was I suddenly unemployable? My savings account was getting smaller every day. Rent was due in a week. I had already started skipping meals to save money. Then I got a text from Dana, a former colleague from my old job. She asked if I wanted to grab coffee. I almost said no because I couldn't really afford coffee shop prices anymore, but something in her message felt urgent. We met at a place near her office. Dana got straight to the point after we sat down. Rosemarie, I need to tell you something, and you're not going to like it. There are rumors going around about you. My stomach dropped. What kind of rumors? People are saying you were unstable, that you made threatening phone calls to your boss, that you were unprofessional and erratic. I've heard this from at least 5 different people in the industry, but that's not what happened. My sister called my boss, and got me fired. I believe you, but other people don't know that, and the rumors are spreading fast. I thought you should know. I thanked Dana and left in a daze. Someone was actively destroying my reputation, but who would do that? And then it hit me. Courtney. I went home and opened Facebook. Courtney's profile was public, so I scrolled through her recent posts. There they were. Vague posts about family members who self-destruct. Posts about how sad it is when someone throws away a good career. Posts asking for prayers for a family member going through a difficult time. The comments were full of people asking if everything was okay, offering support. And Courtney was responding in the comments, being just specific enough to make it clear she was talking about me, without actually naming me. But it was worse than that. I checked my LinkedIn and saw that several mutual connections had recently viewed my profile. I reached out to one of them, someone I had worked with years ago on a freelance project. I asked casually if they'd heard anything about me recently. They were reluctant at first, but eventually admitted that Courtney had messaged them. She had expressed concern about my mental health. She said I had been fired for erratic behavior, and she was worried about me. She suggested that anyone considering hiring me should be careful because I might be going through some kind of breakdown. I felt sick. She wasn't just spreading rumors. She was methodically contacting people in my professional network, poisoning every potential opportunity before I even had a chance. I called her. She answered cheerfully. Hey sis, what's up? I know what you're doing. I know you've been messaging people, spreading lies about me. Lies? Rosemarie, I'm trying to help you. You got fired. That's embarrassing for the whole family. I'm just getting ahead of the story, explaining what happened so people understand. You're telling people I had a breakdown. You're destroying my reputation. I'm protecting you. If I don't explain things, people will think even worse. Trust me, this is damage control. You should be thanking me. Stop messaging people. Stop posting about me. Just stop. There was a pause. When Courtney spoke again, her voice had changed. It was colder, sharper. Or what? You'll tell people the truth? That your own sister got you fired? Good luck with that. Who's going to hire someone with that kind of family drama? And, just so you know, I have screenshots. Texts where you sound pretty unhinged. I've been documenting your behavior just in case I need to prove you really are unstable. So, if you try to correct the story, I'll make things much worse for you. Understand?" She hung up before I could respond. My phone rang 5 minutes later. It was my mother. "Courtney told me you called her, and were very upset. Rosemarie, you need to calm down and let this go. You're making things worse for yourself. Courtney is just trying to help the family save face. Why do you always have to be so difficult?" I hung up on her. For the first time in my life, I hung up on my mother. 2 months had passed since I lost my job. I was now 3 months behind on rent because my savings had run out paying the first month after I was fired. I had maxed out one credit card just buying groceries. Every night I lay awake doing math in my head, trying to figure out how to make everything work, knowing it was impossible. I finally swallowed my pride and took a job at a retail store in the mall. It paid $12 an hour. After working in marketing for 5 years, making $55,000 a year, I was now selling clothes to teenagers and folding sweaters. The manager was 10 years younger than me. But I needed money. I needed to eat. Then something happened that felt like a miracle. I got a call back from a tech startup. They wanted me to come in for an interview. The position was for a marketing coordinator, not the director level I had been applying for, but it paid $45,000 a year. It wasn't what I used to make, but it was enough to get back on my feet. The interview was on a Tuesday morning. I had to call in sick to the retail job, which I felt guilty about. But this interview was too important. I spent hours preparing. I researched the company, practiced answers to common questions, ironed my best interview suit 3 times to make sure it was perfect. I arrived at the startup's office 15 minutes early. The building was modern, all glass and steel, in a newly developed part of downtown. I gave my name to the receptionist, a young woman with purple hair and multiple piercings. She looked at me with confusion. "Rosemarie? I'm sorry, but we already spoke with you on the phone this morning." My blood went cold. "No, you didn't. This is my first time calling or visiting." She pulled up something on her computer, frowning. "Someone called about an hour ago claiming to be you. They canceled the interview and said some pretty inappropriate things to our hiring manager. I'm really sorry, but he's not available to meet with you now. Please, there's been a mistake. That wasn't me. Someone is impersonating me. Can I please just speak with the hiring manager for 5 minutes? I can explain everything." She looked uncomfortable. "Let me check." She disappeared into the back. I stood in that lobby for 20 minutes, watching employees walk past, all of them young and energetic and employed. Finally, the receptionist returned with a man in his 30s, wearing jeans and a button-down shirt. "I'm Derek Chen, the hiring manager. I have to be honest with you, Rosemarie. The phone call we received this morning was extremely unprofessional. The person claimed to be you, and said some things I'd rather not repeat. I don't know what's going on in your life, but we're going in a different direction with this position. Please, that wasn't me. My sister has been sabotaging my job search. She impersonates me. If you could just look at my resume, my portfolio, I can show you my work." "I'm sorry. I really am. But we can't take that risk. I hope you understand." He walked away. The receptionist gave me a sympathetic look but said nothing. I left the building fighting back tears. I knew it was Courtney. I had mentioned the interview to my mother 2 days ago during a brief phone call. She must have told Courtney. I drove home in a fog of rage and despair. When I got back to my apartment, I decided to check my credit score. I hadn't looked at it in months, too afraid of what I might find. I logged into my credit monitoring app and stared at the number on the screen. 543? My credit score was 543. 6 months ago, it had been 720. I clicked through to see the details and felt my whole body go numb. There were 3 credit cards I had never opened. The balances totaled over $15,000. I clicked on each one, tracing the charges: designer clothes, electronics, jewelry, furniture, and every single purchase had been shipped to an address I recognized immediately: Courtney's apartment. My hands were shaking as I called the credit card companies. Each one told me the same thing. The cards had been opened online using my social security number and date of birth. The shipping address was different from my billing address, but that wasn't unusual for gifts. If I wanted to dispute the charges, I would need to file a police report. I hung up after the third call and just sat on my couch, staring at the wall. My sister had stolen my identity. She had opened credit cards in my name and run up $15,000 in charges. She had committed fraud. This wasn't a prank anymore. This was a crime. I called her. "Did you open credit cards in my name?" "What? No, why would you even ask me that?" "Because there are 3 cards with my name on them that I didn't open, and everything was shipped to your address." "Rosa Marie, you sound paranoid. Maybe you opened them and forgot? You've been pretty stressed lately. Memory problems are common with mental health issues." "I didn't forget. You stole my identity." "That's a serious accusation. Do you have proof? Because if you go around saying things like that without proof, that's slander. I could sue you." "The shipping address is your apartment, Courtney." "So? Maybe you shipped yourself gifts to my place because you knew you couldn't afford them and didn't want them showing up at your door where your landlord might see. Maybe you were planning to blame me all along. If you go to the police with this, I'll just tell them you gave me permission to use your credit, and now you're trying to get out of paying the bills. It'll be my word against yours, and I have a clean record. Do you really want to take that risk?" She was right. It would be her word against mine. And my parents would back her up. They always did. 2 days later, my landlord knocked on my door. He handed me an eviction notice. I was 3 months behind on rent. I had 2 weeks to pay $4,500, or I would be forced to leave. I looked at the notice, at the numbers that might as well have been $1 million, and felt something break inside me. I had nothing left. No job prospects, no money, no family support, and soon no home. The next 2 weeks were a blur of double shifts at the retail store and applications to apartments I couldn't afford. I sold my furniture piece by piece on Facebook Marketplace. My couch, my dining table, my desk. I kept only my bed, which was now just a mattress on the floor. I canceled my cell phone plan and switched to a prepaid service that gave me limited minutes. I ate ramen noodles for every meal. I was 3 days away from eviction when my mother called my work phone, which I had kept on the emergency contact list. "Rosa Marie, we're having a family dinner on Sunday. You need to be there." I wanted to say no. I wanted to tell her I never wanted to see any of them again. But some small part of me still hoped. Maybe they had realized how badly they had treated me. Maybe they wanted to apologize. Maybe, finally, they would help me. I showed up at 6 in the evening. My father answered the door and gave me an awkward hug. Inside, I could see Courtney in the living room, practically glowing with excitement. My mother was setting the table. We sat down to pot roast, the same meal my mother had made for special occasions my whole childhood. For a few minutes, it almost felt normal. We talked about the weather, about my father's job at the post office, about my mother's book club. Then Courtney cleared her throat. "So, I have some exciting news to share. Travis proposed!" She held up her left hand, showing off a diamond ring that probably cost more than my rent. My mother clapped her hands together. My father smiled and congratulated her. I forced myself to say something appropriate. "We're planning the wedding for next summer," Courtney continued. "We want something beautiful, a real celebration. We've already started looking at venues." My mother jumped in. "We've been helping them with the planning. The venue they want costs $25,000 just for the rental. Then there's catering, flowers, photography, the dress. We've estimated it'll cost about $40,000 total." My father nodded. "Your mother and I are contributing $20,000. We've been saving up, but we're hoping the family can help with the rest." I felt it coming before the words left my mother's mouth. "We're asking everyone to contribute what they can. We thought you could help with $5,000. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's your sister's wedding. It's important." I laughed. Actually laughed. The sound came out harsh and bitter. "I'm 3 days from being evicted. I'm working retail for $12 an hour. I eat ramen noodles for dinner because I can't afford anything else. And you want me to give you $5,000? Courtney rolled her eyes. "Oh, please. You're just saying that to get out of helping. You've always been jealous of me." "Jealous? Courtney, you got me fired. You stole my identity and destroyed my credit. You've sabotaged every job opportunity I've had for months. I'm literally about to be homeless. And you think I'm lying about it?" My parents exchanged a look. My father spoke carefully. "Rosa Marie, We know you and Courtney have had your differences, but this seems a bit extreme. Are you really about to be evicted? Yes. I have 3 days to come up with $4,500 or I'm out on the street. My mother pursed her lips. Well, if you're really in that much trouble, maybe you should move back home. We could charge you $800 a month for rent. That's much cheaper than an apartment. You could save money and get back on your feet, and then you'd be able to contribute to the wedding, Courtney added brightly. See, it all works out. I stared at them. They wanted me to move back home, pay them rent, and give them money for Courtney's wedding. The same sister who had destroyed my life. Let me get this straight. You want me to pay you rent and contribute to a wedding for the person who got me fired and stole my identity? She's your sister, my mother said firmly. Family takes care of family. That's what we do. If you refuse to help, well, people will talk. The extended family already thinks you've been difficult. Uncle Gary and Aunt Linda, your cousins, they've all been asking about you. We've had to explain that you've been going through some problems. What kind of problems? Courtney pulled out her phone. We have a family group chat. Everyone's in it except you. Want to see what they've been saying? She turned her phone toward me. I saw messages from aunts, uncles, cousins I hadn't spoken to in years. They were discussing me, saying I had always been dramatic, saying I probably deserved to lose my job, saying I was jealous of Courtney. One cousin suggested I might be on drugs. You've been talking about me behind my back to the entire family? We've been trying to explain your behavior, my father said. People were asking questions. We had to say something. Courtney leaned forward, her voice syrupy sweet. Besides, it's not like anyone would want to marry someone like you anyway. You're almost 35, single, about to be homeless. At least I'm doing something with my life. The least you could do is be happy for me. I stood up from the table. I need to go. Think about what we said, my mother called after me, about moving home and contributing to the wedding. Family is forever, Rosemarie. Don't turn your back on us. I drove back to my nearly empty apartment and sat on my air mattress in the dark. I had no family. Not really. They had made their choice, and it wasn't me. I got evicted. I moved my remaining belongings into a storage unit and started sleeping on the floor at the retail store after hours. My manager didn't know. I would hide in the stockroom until after closing, then spread out a sleeping bag between the racks of clearance items. It was humiliating, but it was shelter. During one of my shifts, about 2 weeks into my new living situation, a woman came into the store looking for a specific type of blazer for a business presentation. She couldn't find what she wanted, so I helped her, asking questions about her industry, her audience, her message. I ended up creating a whole outfit for her based on the psychology of color and professional presentation. Turns out, I still remembered my marketing training. She was impressed. We talked for almost half an hour while I rang up her purchase. She asked about my background, and I carefully explained I was between positions. She handed me her business card. I'm Patricia Reynolds. I'm a venture capitalist. My firm just invested in a tech startup that's looking for a marketing director. They're growing fast and need someone who really understands strategy. You should apply. I looked at the card in my hand like it might disappear. Thank you. I will. The interview was the following week. I met with the founders, 2 guys in their early 30s named Jordan Williams and Marcus Hayes. They had developed an app that helped small businesses manage their social media presence. It was actually innovative, solving real problems I had experienced in my previous job. I was honest with them. I told them I had been let go from my previous position and had been looking for work for several months. I didn't go into details about why, but I focused on my skills, my experience, and my vision for their product. They offered me the job 2 days later. $75,000 a year, $20,000 more than my old job. I started the following Monday. I cried when I hung up the phone. I cried in the stockroom of that retail store, surrounded by boxes of inventory, and for the first time in months, they were tears of relief. The next 6 months changed everything. I poured myself into the work. I developed comprehensive marketing campaigns. I landed partnerships with industry influencers. I negotiated media coverage. The startup's user base grew by 300%. Jordan and Marcus were thrilled. The product officially launched in March with a huge push. We got coverage in all the major tech publications. The app hit number 3 in the business category, on both iOS and Android. The company's valuation tripled. In May, they promoted me to Senior Marketing Director and gave me a raise to $95,000 a year, plus a $20,000 bonus for the successful launch. I used the bonus to get a new apartment, a nice one-bedroom in a safe neighborhood with actual furniture. I bought a bed frame, a couch, a real dining table. I restocked my kitchen with food that wasn't ramen. I got a new phone with an unlimited plan. For the first time in almost a year, I felt like a person again. I didn't tell my family about any of it. I had blocked most of their numbers. I kept my LinkedIn profile private. I wanted nothing to do with them. But somehow, my mother found out. She must have checked my LinkedIn from someone else's account, or maybe someone who knew me mentioned it to her. Either way, she called me from my father's phone, which I hadn't blocked because I had forgotten he even had a cell phone. "Rosemarie, sweetheart, I saw you got a new job. That's wonderful news." I should have hung up. I should have blocked that number too. But I was curious about where this was going. "We'd love to have you over for dinner. Catch up. We've missed you." "Have you?" "Of course. Your family. Come over Sunday. I'll make pot roast." Against my better judgment, I went. The dinner table was crowded. My parents, Courtney and her husband Travis, my brother Brandon, who I hadn't seen in over a year, my Aunt Linda, and my Uncle Gary. They were all smiling at me when I walked in. "Rosemarie, look at you. You look wonderful." My mother hugged me tight. Everyone was suddenly so nice. They asked about my job, complimented my new car, which was just a used sedan but apparently looked impressive to them. They wanted to know all about the startup, about my role, about my salary. I answered vaguely, feeling more and more uneasy. Something was coming. I could feel it. We were halfway through dinner when my mother set down her fork and looked around the table with a serious expression. "So, now that we're all together, there's something we need to discuss as a family." Here it was. "As you all know, Courtney and Travis got married last summer. The wedding was beautiful but expensive. They're still paying off some of the costs. And your father and I, well, we need a new roof on the house. The contractor quoted us $10,000. Brandon's car needs major repairs, about $2,000 worth. And Linda has some medical bills that are overwhelming her." She turned to look at me specifically. "You're doing so well now, Rosemarie. You've clearly landed on your feet. We're all so proud of you. And we were hoping you could help the family out. Courtney and Travis need about $15,000 to pay off the wedding debt. We need $10,000 for the roof. Brandon needs about $2,000 a month to cover his car payment and some other expenses. And Linda needs about $5,000 for her medical bills." I did the math in my head. They wanted me to give them over $40,000, plus ongoing monthly payments to my brother. "This is what families do," my father added. "We help each other. You've been blessed with success. Now it's time to give back." I looked around the table. They were all watching me expectantly. Courtney had a small smile on her face. Brandon looked hopeful. Linda was dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. "Let me think about it," I said carefully. "What's there to think about?" Courtney demanded. "We're family. You owe us." "I owe you?" "We raised you," my mother said gently. "We fed you, clothed you, put a roof over your head. Now you're successful, and we need help. This is how it works." "I'll think about it," I repeated. "You're asking for a lot of money. I need time to consider." "We need an answer by next week," my father said firmly. "Bills are due. We can't wait forever." I left that dinner feeling sick. They didn't care about me. They cared about my bank account. And they truly believed I owed them everything I had earned. The calls started the next day. First my mother, asking sweetly if I had made a decision. Then my father, more stern, reminding me of my obligations. Courtney texted me constantly, sending screenshots of her credit card bills, photos of the roof damage on my parents' house, messages from Brandon about his car troubles. When I didn't respond fast enough, they started showing up at my apartment. My mother would knock on my door at 7 in the morning on Saturday. My father came by after work on Tuesday. Courtney showed up with Travis one evening, insisting we needed to talk. I stopped answering the door. Then Courtney took it to social media. She posted on Facebook about how hard it was when family members became successful and forgot where they came from. She didn't name me, but she didn't have to. Her friends commented asking if she was okay, offering support. Some of them added their own stories about ungrateful relatives. My distant relatives, people I hadn't heard from since childhood, started reaching out. A second cousin I barely remembered sent me a long message on Facebook about her daughter's medical expenses. An uncle I had met maybe twice asked if I could help him with his mortgage. An aunt wanted money for her grandchild's private school tuition. It was like blood in the water. They all smelled money and came circling. My mother called again, this time in tears. Your father is so disappointed in you. He can't believe his own daughter would abandon her family like this. If you don't help us, I don't know what we'll do. We might lose the house. Mom, you're not going to lose the house over a roof repair. You don't know what it's like to struggle. You've always had everything so easy. I laughed at that. Actually laughed. Easy? Courtney got me fired. She stole my identity. I was homeless. I slept on a stockroom floor. Where were you then? That was different. You were going through a difficult time. We couldn't enable your behavior. But now you want me to enable yours? She hung up on me. My father called an hour later. Your mother is very upset. If you refuse to help this family, there will be consequences. We'll have no choice but to cut you out of our lives completely. Then I guess that's what you'll have to do. He hung up too. I thought that was the end of it. I blocked more numbers. I set my social media to private. I focused on my work. Then I got a call from Jordan at the office. Hey Rosemarie, can you come to my office for a minute? My stomach dropped. I went to his office, where Marcus was already waiting. They both looked uncomfortable. We had a visitor today, Jordan said carefully. Your sister? Courtney came here. She showed up at the front desk, demanding to see you. When the receptionist said you were in a meeting, she caused quite a scene. She was yelling about how you stole money from your family. She said you're a fraud and we should fire you before you destroy our company. I felt my face burning. I'm so sorry. I'll talk to her. This won't happen again. It's okay, Marcus said quickly. Security escorted her out, but she was pretty insistent. Is everything all right? I explained everything. The prank call, the firing, the identity theft, the harassment. I showed them text messages from my family demanding money. I showed them the social media posts. I showed them everything. That's terrible, Jordan said. I'm sorry you're dealing with this. But just to be clear, this isn't going to affect your work here, right? Absolutely not. I promise. They seemed satisfied, but I could tell they were worried. I didn't blame them. Who wants an employee with this much family drama? 2 days later, I got a certified letter in the mail. My parents had hired a lawyer. They were threatening to sue me for financial elder abuse. The letter claimed I had promised to take care of them in their old age, and was now refusing to honor that commitment. They demanded $50,000 to drop the suit. The claims were completely fabricated. I had never promised any such thing. But fighting a lawsuit would be expensive and time-consuming, even if I won. I consulted with my own lawyer, a woman named Catherine Miller, who specialized in family law. She reviewed everything, all my documentation of the harassment, the identity theft, everything. You have grounds for restraining orders, she said. And your sister could potentially face criminal charges for the identity theft. But your family knows a lawsuit would hurt you professionally, even if it's baseless. They're counting on you paying them to make this go away. What should I do? Fight back. Document everything. File police reports. Get restraining orders. Show them you're not an easy target. Then things got worse. Courtney contacted Jordan and Marcus directly, not through the office but through their personal email addresses, which she must have found online. She sent them a long message claiming I had committed fraud at my previous job. She attached fake emails and documents that appeared to show me embezzling money and manipulating figures. The documents were completely fabricated, but they looked professional. They looked real. Jordan and Marcus called me in again. This time, they looked more serious. Rosemarie, we got some concerning emails from your sister. She's making some pretty serious allegations. I felt my hands start to shake. They're not true. She's making this up to get me fired again, just like she did at my last job. We believe you, Marcus said. But this is getting out of hand. We have to think about the company. If this drama continues, it could affect our reputation, our ability to raise funding, everything. I understand. I'm taking steps to stop it. I've hired a lawyer. Good. Because we really value you, Rosemarie, but we can't have this kind of chaos. I left that meeting knowing I was running out of time. My family wouldn't stop. They would keep escalating until they either got money or destroyed my career completely. That night, I sat down with Catherine and made a plan. We would file police reports for identity theft. We would get restraining orders. We would send cease and desist letters to every family member who had harassed me. And we would prepare a countersuit against my parents for their frivolous legal threats. This is going to get ugly, Catherine warned me. Are you sure you're ready for this? I thought about everything they had done to me. The prank call that cost me my job, the reputation sabotage, the identity theft, the harassment, the extortion. I thought about sleeping on a stockroom floor. I thought about eating ramen for months. I thought about the humiliation of being escorted out of my office by security. I'm ready. We spent the next week gathering evidence. Phone records proving Courtney had called my old boss. Credit card statements showing purchases shipped to her address. Screenshots of social media posts. Copies of threatening text messages and emails. Witness statements from Dana and from Patricia, who had seen how my family treated me. It was comprehensive. It was damning. And it was all true. My parents called one more time, demanding I come to another family meeting. They expected me to bring a check. They expected me to give in. I agreed to come, but I was bringing my lawyer instead. I arrived at my parents' house on Sunday afternoon with Catherine beside me. My whole family was there, crowded into the living room like it was a holiday gathering. My parents, Courtney and Travis, Brandon, Aunt Linda, Uncle Gary, they were all smiling when I walked in, confident expressions on their faces. The smiles faded when they saw Catherine with me. "Who's this?" my mother asked, her voice tight. "This is Catherine Miller. She's my attorney." "Why did you bring a lawyer to a family dinner?" my father demanded. "Because this isn't a family dinner. This is an ambush. You want money. I'm here to make it clear that's not going to happen." Courtney stood up, her face flushing red. "You're unbelievable. We're your family. We need help, and you're throwing lawyers at us." "You mean the way you threw a fake lawsuit at me?" "That's not fake," my father said. "You have obligations to this family." "No, I don't. And I'm not giving you any money. Not a single dollar." The room erupted. Everyone started talking at once, yelling over each other. My mother was crying. Brandon was calling me selfish. Aunt Linda was clutching her chest dramatically. Uncle Gary was red-faced and furious. I waited for them to quiet down. Then I smiled. "I do have something for all of you, though. Check your mailboxes when you get home." Courtney's eyes narrowed. "What's that supposed to mean?" "You'll see." Catherine and I left. Behind us, I could hear them arguing, confused and angry. They didn't understand what I meant. They would soon enough. I went home and waited. It took about 3 hours. Then my phone started ringing. I had unblocked their numbers just for this, wanting to hear their reactions. My mother called first. Her voice was shaking. "What have you done?" "Rosemarie, what is this? You got the package, I take it? This says you filed a police report against Courtney. This says identity theft, fraud. These are criminal charges." "Yes, they are. With evidence. Credit card statements, shipping addresses, everything. The police are investigating." "You're going to send your sister to jail?" "She committed a crime. Multiple crimes, actually." My father called next. "We got a restraining order?" "You got a restraining order against your mother and me? You've been harassing me for months. Showing up at my home, calling constantly, threatening me. That's what restraining orders are for." "We're your parents." "You're also my abusers. The restraining order means you can't contact me, can't come near my home or workplace, can't post about me on social media. If you violate it, you'll be arrested." "This is insane. We raised you. This is how you repay us?" "You didn't raise me to be your ATM. Goodbye, Dad." Brandon called, panicked. "I got a cease and desist letter. It says I can't contact you anymore." "That's right. You and everyone else who's been harassing me. I just asked for help with my car. You demanded $2,000 a month indefinitely. That's not asking for help. That's extortion." Aunt Linda left a voicemail crying about how cruel I was. Uncle Gary sent a text full of curse words that I immediately forwarded to Catherine as evidence. Courtney called last. Her voice was different from the others. It wasn't sad or angry. It was scared. The police called me. They want to talk to me about credit card fraud. Good. Rosemarie, please. You can't do this. I'll lose my job. I could go to jail. You should have thought about that before you stole $15,000 from me. It was just stuff. Just things. I didn't think it was that serious. You destroyed my credit. You destroyed my reputation. You got me fired and then sabotaged every job opportunity I had for months. You tried to make me homeless. But it was just stuff? I'm sorry. Okay? I'm sorry. I'll pay you back. I'll do whatever you want. Just drop the charges. No, please. I'm begging you. You didn't care when I was begging for help. You didn't care when I was sleeping on a stockroom floor. You didn't care when I told you I was about to be evicted. You laughed. You all laughed and told me I deserved it. So no, Courtney, I won't drop the charges. I hung up. Over the next few weeks, everything unfolded exactly as Catherine had predicted. The police investigation confirmed the identity theft. Courtney had used my information to open the credit cards, and the purchases had all been shipped to her address. The evidence was overwhelming. She was given a choice: accept a plea deal or go to trial. Her lawyer advised the plea deal. She pled guilty to identity theft and fraud. She was sentenced to 2 years probation, 200 hours of community service, and ordered to pay full restitution of $15,000 plus interest. Her husband Travis filed for divorce 3 months later. Apparently discovering your wife is a criminal was a deal-breaker for him. I didn't feel bad about it. My parents' threatened lawsuit was dismissed immediately once the judge saw their frivolous claims. Catherine filed a countersuit for harassment and the cost of my legal fees. They settled out of court, paying my legal expenses, which came to about $8,000. The restraining orders were granted. My parents, Courtney, and several other family members were legally prohibited from contacting me or coming near my home or workplace. 2 of them violated the orders in the first month and were arrested. After that, they all stopped trying. My life became peaceful. I continued to excel at my job. The startup kept growing. I got another promotion and another raise. Within 2 years of almost losing everything, I was making over $120,000 a year. I never heard from most of my family again. Some of them tried reaching out through mutual friends or distant relatives, but I made it clear I wasn't interested. They had shown me who they were when I needed them. I believed them. About 6 months after everything went down, my mother sent a letter through a family friend. She said they didn't know how bad things had gotten. They said they were sorry. They wanted to reconcile. They suggested family therapy. I sent back a single-page letter. I told them I would consider reconciliation only if they met certain conditions. They had to attend family therapy for at least 6 months without me present, working on their enabling behavior and toxic patterns. They had to write detailed apologies acknowledging specifically what they had done wrong. They had to accept that I would never give them money. And they had to accept that Courtney would never be welcome in my life again, even if she completed her sentence. I never heard back. Apparently those conditions were too much to ask. I built a new life. I made friends at work, real friends who supported me and celebrated my successes. I started dating someone kind and respectful who was horrified when I told him what my family had done. I bought a small house in a nice neighborhood. I adopted a dog. I created a life I was proud of, with people who actually cared about me. Sometimes people ask me if I regret cutting off my family. They say things like blood is thicker than water, or family is forever, or everyone deserves a second chance. I understand why they say these things. Family is supposed to be your safety net, your support system, your foundation. But that's not what my family was. My family was toxic. They were abusive. They sabotaged me when I succeeded and abandoned me when I failed. They demanded everything from me and gave nothing in return. They saw me as a resource to be exploited, not a person to be loved. I learned some hard lessons through all of this. I learned that family doesn't mean you owe people your happiness, your peace, or your money. I learned that setting boundaries isn't cruel. It's necessary for survival. I learned that fighting back doesn't make you the villain. Sometimes it makes you the survivor. I learned that you can't set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. I learned that walking away from toxicity isn't abandonment. It's self-preservation. I learned that the best revenge isn't just living well. It's also protecting yourself legally and making sure there are consequences for abuse. I learned that real family, the kind that matters, isn't about blood. It's about respect, support, and genuine love. The people in my life now, my friends, my partner, my coworkers who became friends, they're more family to me than the people who raised me ever were. Do I wish things had been different? Of course. I wish I had the kind of parents who supported me. I wish I had a sister who celebrated my successes instead of sabotaging them. I wish I had a family I could actually call when things got hard. But I don't. And I've made peace with that. I've built something better. I've built a life where I'm surrounded by people who actually care about me, who want me to succeed, who would never dream of tearing me down. And when I look at those legal documents, the restraining orders and court judgments that freed me from their harassment, I don't feel guilty. I feel proud. Proud that I stood up for myself. Proud that I fought back. Proud that I refused to be a victim anymore. I chose myself, and that was the right choice. So here's my question for you. Have you ever had to set boundaries with toxic family members? How did you handle it? Leave a comment below and share your story. Your experience might help someone else who's going through something similar. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. It helps more people find these stories. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future stories about overcoming family dysfunction, workplace betrayal, and finding your own strength. Share this video with someone who might need to hear it. Sometimes people in toxic situations don't realize they have the right to walk away. Your share might be exactly what they need to see today. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I know it was heavy, but I hope it gave you something to think about. Remember, you deserve respect, kindness, and support from the people in your life. If you're not getting that, it's okay to create distance. It's okay to protect yourself. It's okay to choose peace over family drama. Take care of yourselves out there. You're stronger than you think, and you deserve better than people who only value what you can give them. Until next time, remember that the family you choose can be just as important as the family you're born into. Sometimes even more so.